going to flush the system out because obviously a lot of these units are tested with oil. So we need to acetone being the favourite product. So basically pour it in the hopper. Don't need much. Again, if you had the suction one on, you'd be putting the suction one in here to basically pull it up. So firstly, we just need to recirc through the recirc pipe.
Dump tube.
Dump tube, yeah. So again, to turn the air on, you have to increase the actual pump pressure to get the material through. You just basically open the valve.
So just to recap, Ulster, so what we've done is we've turned obviously the air.
Open the air valve on.
So that's obviously open. We've increased the pressure just a little bit.
Yep.
And then what we've done is, as you push this down, that's like what's like a prime valve. So as we turn it down, that goes into dump position, and therefore obviously we're able to then circulate the acetone through the hopper, up the pump, through the filter, back down, and through the dump tube. So that the actual pump is now being, I suppose, cleansed of any oil and everything else.
Well, the actual main pump shaft. So just to make sure now to clean the actual full lines out on the gun, you basically preferably take the air cap off. I mean, you can spray it, but you'd have to spray it into something. So I know
you're going to wear down the tip.
Yeah, I know we just always take it off. The dump valve's closed, so now we're just going to basically pump the system through. So as soon as they open the trigger, it should basically. Well, by doing this, you're basically checking for any sort of leaks at the points. Because if it's going to leak, it'll leak with solvent. So there's no leaks anywhere, so everything's tightened up properly.
Would you increase the pressure just to make sure it actually holds
can,
under pressure?
You just got to be careful because you are putting a solvent through it.
Fine.
It's going to shoot out fairly hard. But I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
At this point, clean it, put water in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what we do with all our machines, once we've actually put them together, is we put full pressure, just to make sure it will actually hold all the couplings and everything else will hold under full pressure. Because at some point, somebody's going to get it wrong and turn the knob the wrong way.
If you're going to do that, I mean, I wouldn't be sort of shooting that into there.
No.
Because it's just going to go.
Absolutely.
So you've got
that's
bigger
why
content.
we just release it from here.
Yeah, the thing is though, I mean, doing that is just basically the dump, like you say.
Yeah.
If you're doing full pressure, you need to check these connections as well, so you have to put it through the full system.
Okay.
But even that, I think if we turn that up full, it's going to be a fair bit of prep, but you can try it. I mean,
no, it's fine.
I mean, you know what you want to do better than me. Yeah, so now I put the acetone through. I mean, normally what I do, I'd leave it just basically recirculating around for about half an hour. But I mean, it looks fairly clean. There's no oil floating on the top of the solvent.
So, acetone in these hoses, okay, and everything else, you were saying recirculate for, let's say, half an hour, 30 minutes.
First time when you first get it.
Yeah, I get that, but how long?
I mean, our solvent is different hoses.
Fine, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, if we were using solvent, I would say once a week, once I've cleaned it out, leave solvent in it.
How long?
Leave it over the weekend.
Okay.
And come back, pump the solvent and start again. It's just that you will always get, no matter what you do, you will always get a minute residue inside. So we found by leaving the solvent in it, yeah, a day's enough. You don't have to leave it the whole weekend, but a day's enough. But it just keeps, the worst thing you can do in any of these units, probably the same with the Airless, is you don't want it to dry. So we always leave solvent in it, or we always leave, in the next case, we water in it. So it's just to keep it soft inside.
Okay, fine. Well, just whilst we're down that road, if I've been spraying with waterborne systems all week, I get to Friday and I'm going home, okay, would you leave it with water in, or would you actually flush it through and leave it with some acetone?
No, you've got two options. You can leave water in it, because obviously the product is water soluble and the water base will not harden up or set up in water.
Yeah.
If you want a major clean, rather than use a solvent, we have a line cleaner, which is a water and glycol mix, which can be left in, and that basically will re-dissolve. There's only one time when I would use acetone, because acetone's the only thing that will basically re-soften hard water base, because water base is a non-revertible coating. So when it sets, it won't remelt the water, so you have to use a strong solvent. But generally speaking, all you need to do is just water. Be watering all the time, put the water out, put the water base in. I'd only use the acetone if it was basically, I'd left hard water base on tips and things like that. By all means, you can salt the tips and the caps in acetone, but you want to put it through again. The wall will keep it soft. And if you want to do like a major clean, we'll put the line cleaner through.
Okay, we'll have a look at that as well.
Got it in the car as well.
Brilliant.
So now what we're going to do, because we are going to use a water-based product, we need to basically pump out the acetone. Then we basically put the water in, and we pump the water through, and then we pump out the water, and then we go with the water-based product.
Okay. So how do we get the acetone out of here? What's
There's two ways you can do it. You can basically dump it out of there,
yeah,
but you're going to leave it in here.
Yeah.
So for me, the best way to do it is basically squirt it out from the gun. So if we had another container,
yep,
we can basically just empty it out. So all we're going to do now is basically pump out the actual solvent that's in the system. So again, I've turned the pressure right off.
Correct.
Just think one thing you have to watch with these Airless and Airless units, that even though I've basically reduced the pressure, the air's still on. This has still got a back pressure in it. So anytime you want to leave the gun, or you want to basically leave the unit, just by turning the air off does not depressurize the system. So you've always got, so everything's turned off then. We've turned the air off, we've turned the pump pressure off, but if I pull this, there's still pressure in it. Now I know a lot of guns will have a trigger lock on it. This particular one hasn't, but to depressurize it properly, that is depressurized now. I would tend to leave a little bit of pressure in the system if I'm leaving it with solvent in, because you want to leave it in the line, but not the same sort of pressure from full pressure. Okay. So we're going to pop this out now. So what I have to do first is turn the air on. I don't need a massive amount of air, because all I'm trying to do is get the solvent on.
If you have too much, it's just going
to bounce back on it. So I mean, just start with. Have air in it also. Leave it at that. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't let it run dry. You wouldn't.
No, because the actual product you're going to put in next, which is the water,
will push it through.
Will push it out. What can tend to happen if you drain it out completely? You can possibly get airlocks in it. And what tends to happen, the pump will start going mad for a while because it's got air in here.
Yeah.
And then it will finally pick up. So to stop it doing that, there's I think it's mainly out of here. It's mainly in here. Just back pressure air is pushing this out. So it's easy to just put the water in. And the water get through and push the rest of the acetone. That's why we use acetone, because acetone will mix with water. So we just need to put some water in there.
Okay, so just a quick question. Mm-hmm. What would you do with this? Can we reuse this?
I mean, I wouldn't reuse it for cleaning, because it could be contaminated. You could, in theory, use it to wipe your guns down and things like that. I wouldn't really use it in connection with tips and caps, especially tips, because if there's any contamination fluid come out of here into that, you're going to put it onto your tip.
Fine.
For mopping, wiping benches down, things like that. But again, I'm just so reluctant that there's contamination oil in there, and anything in there you put anywhere else will spread the contamination.
So what I'm hearing is
throw away. Throw away. People don't like throwing, so it looks clean to me. That I don't like throwing away.
But your experience says just
throw it away. It's half a litre, throw it away. Because that half a litre might save you hours and hours of problems, contamination.
Not knowing what the problem is as well.
Yeah,
okay, cool. That's cold water.
Yep.
Is there any benefit of using, let's say, warm water with a bit of...
Not really. I mean, people tend to use, or can use, hot water. I don't like doing it because, one, if you basically put the water-based product... In this instance, there's no water-based product there. But it doesn't really matter if it's hot, cold or whatever, because you're just going to push out the acetone. Yeah. But if I was flushing out the water base with water, cold water, because if you use hot water or warm water, it'll make the water base react. It'll tend to start to cure. or start to skin off.
Oh, okay.
So it can. Warm water, personally, you might get away with, but rather than have it one way or the other, no, just use cold water.
Fine.
If you say warm water, how warm? People who might put hot
Just
water.
cold water's cold.
Cold water. It's cold water. And all we're doing now is we're putting the water in here just to push out the remnants of the acetone.
Okay.
If there's any minute bits of acetone in there, it's water miscible. You're gonna, when the water-based lacquer is in, it basically pushes out the water with any remnants of the acetone anyway.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we just basically pour the water in. And again, the first thing we're going to clear out, because obviously there'll be acetone in it, will be the dump first.
Yeah. When you hear the gurgling,
And when your pump starts to speed up,
so you can hear gurgling and the pump starts, and that's a good indication to say.
yeah, but you can see, you know, the acetone, it will basically separate out again, but the acetone makes it white.
Yeah.
That again, that's a throwaway.
Yeah, you can see that. I mean, you can already see like oil and just last bit of contaminants just on top.
Yeah. So I was sort of saying the acetone will not show the contaminants as well as the water will.
Yeah.
But the acetone pulls it out with
Yeah,
the water.
you can see it. That's really cool.
Now, if you didn't do that and you put the water base through, you might find you have
Fish eyes and everything inside, yeah. Okay, so it's all put together.
So we need to basically put the material in and then set the pump up.
Okay, we'll do that on the next one.